Hey everyone, Doc here, and today I will show you my top 5 ultra cheap builds for the Mist in Albion Online. For each build, I will cover the cost, its strength and weaknesses, the mindset you need to play it properly. If you want to make silver without risking expensive gear, let's get it started. Coming in at number 5, we have the Wildfire staff. As you can see on the screen, here's the full build along with its average cost. Wildfire has been one of the cheapest and most effective builds in Albion for a very long time. The biggest reason is its E ability. It deals massive damage, scales incredibly well against high HP targets, and gives low IP players a real chance to take down opponents wearing much more expensive gear. The biggest strength of this build are how easy it is to play, the insane burst damage from your E and the mobility you get from soldier boots, which helps you stick to your target until the fight is over. The downside is that you're extremely squishy. If you enter the Mist in a very cheap set without a cape, expect to die a lot. You'll definitely have some suicide runs, but that's completely fine because the build costs almost nothing. Another huge advantage is against melee players. Landing your E on range players can be tricky since the famous mid-ball projectile is pretty slow, but melee players usually have a much harder time avoiding it, making this matchup heavily favor you. The mindset for this build is simple: don't overthink it, be aggressive, spam your Q, and whenever your E is available, look for an opportunity to land it, then go right back to spamming Q until your E is ready again. I would recommend this build to anyone who is low on silver, wants a chance to kill much higher IP players, especially melee builds, or simply enjoys the straightforward fire staff playstyle. There's almost no mechanical complexity here. As long as you can aim your E consistently, you will do just fine. Coming in at number 4, we have the dual swords. Ever since they got buffed, they've been one of the strongest and most beginner-friendly weapons in Albion Online. I've made a lot of videos on this weapon already, covering everything from Mist to solo Black Zone ganking, so if you want to learn more, definitely check those out. As you can see on this screen, here's the full build and its average cost. The biggest strength of dual sword is the combination of high single target damage and excellent mobility. Every Q stack gives you movement speed, your W helps you close the gap, and your E is another mobility tool that lets you jump directly onto your targets. Altogether, this weapon is incredibly mobile. Once you build up your Q stacks, your attack speed and damage become insane. If your opponent can escape your combo, especially melee players, they're going to have a really hard time surviving. Even players with much higher IP can go down if you execute your combo correctly. The weakness of your build is that your E is very predictable. Good players, especially range builds like Frost Staff or any weapon with teleport and dashes, can dodge it pretty consistently, and if someone times a Hunter Hood correctly, they can completely negate your biggest burst. The mindset for this build is similar to Wildfire, but a little bit more tactical. You still want to play aggressively, but you also need to kite while waiting for your cooldowns. Don't just face tank everything. Look for the right moment, commit to your combo, then back off until your abilities are ready again. The build is amazing against melee opponents, but range builds can be frustrating because they kite you and avoid your engage if they're experienced. One last tip: if you are using a mercenary jacket, be careful against players with assassin jackets or credit rope. They can deny your healing completely whenever possible. Save a nearby mob so you have a reliable way to heal if your target shuts your jacket down. Coming in at number 3, we have the Battle Axe. Honestly, this weapon has been one of the best cheap solo options for years, and after the recent buff to adrenaline boost, it's stronger than ever. As you can see on the screen, is the full build along with its average cost. What makes Battle Axe so strong is how balanced it is. You have great mobility thanks to the longer adrenaline boost duration, solid sustained damage from your Q stacks, and incredible sustain through your E. Your first E deals heavy damage, while the second cast heals you based on your Q stacks, making it surprisingly difficult for opponents to finish you off. Combine that with the mercenary jacket and this build becomes an absolute nightmare to fight. You have healing from multiple sources, consistent damage, and enough mobility to disengage whenever a fight starts going badly. If you prefer the standard version with Hunter Hood, that's also an excellent choice and gives you even more survivability against burst damage. One small tip, if you have high ping or struggle to land your E consistently, don't always go for maximum damage. Instead, build up your Q stacks and use your third Q to root the target first. You will sacrifice a little bit of burst, but landing your E becomes more reliable, which is usually worth it. The mindset with Battle Axe is simple, don't rush for a quick kill. This isn't the burst weapon. You play patiently, out sustain your opponent and let the fight go longer. The longer the fight lasts, the more this build starts to shine. I would recommend Battle Axe to players who want a forgiving weapon with strong healing, reliable damage and enough safety to recover from small mistakes. If you like winning fights through consistency instead of one-shot combos, Battle Axe is one of the best cheap weapons you can pick. Coming in at number 2, we have my personal favorite on the list, the Warbow. For a long time this weapon wasn't getting much attention, but after this latest buff, I honestly think it is one of the best cheap weapons you can play in Mist. I won't say it is overpowered, but it is incredibly fun and really think more people should give it a chance. As you can see on the screen, he is the build along with average cost. What I love about Warbow is that it rewards skill. Unlike something like Wildfire, you cannot just run straight at people and hope for the best. You need good positioning, good movement and a little bit of patience. The biggest strength of this build is its mobility. Your multi-shot keeps slowing enemies over and over thanks to its short cooldown. Frost shot lets you create distance or slow melee players if you use it aggressively, and together they make hiding incredibly effective. Once your opponent struggles to keep up, landing your E becomes much easier. Warbow's biggest weakness is that it's very squishy. If someone catches you, especially with hard crowd control, you're probably dead. This weapon lives and dies by your movement. If you stop kiting, the fight is usually over. The second weakness is your E. It has a noticeable travel time, so landing it consistently takes patience. The good news is that after the recent buff, every successful hit reduces its cooldown by 2 seconds. With the tier 7 amulet, you'll often be firing an E every 7 seconds, dealing around 600 to 700 damage each time. That adds up incredibly fast over the course of fight. Another huge improvement is that your E now deals maximum damage regardless of the distance you fire it from, so you no longer have to worry about finding the perfect range. The mindset for this weapon is simple: be a mouse, not a lion. Keep moving, keep kiting, never stand still, and slowly wear your opponents down. You're not trying to win it in 5 seconds, you're just trying to make your enemy chase you until they make a mistake. Before we get to my number 1 pick, if you have enjoyed the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. My goal with these videos is simple: help new players find cheap builds, make silver, and most importantly, enjoy Albion Online. Don't stress too much, relax, have fun, and let's get into my favorite build on this list. Coming in at number 1, the one-handed Frost Staff. In my opinion, this is currently one of the strongest solo weapons in Albion Online, especially for the Mist. As always, you can see the build and its average cost on the screen. The biggest strength of the Frost Staff is insane crowd control and mobility. Your Q has an incredibly short cooldown, constantly slowing enemies and making it almost impossible for melee players to stay on top of you. Your W gives you an instant teleport, letting you reposition whenever you need it. And your E now roots immediately after recent buff and making it much more reliable than before. All of that together and you become a walking CC machine. It slows, roots, mobility. It's extremely difficult for melee players to actually reach you. And even if they do, you usually have another way to create a space. Just like Warbow though, this build is very squishy. If you waste all of your mobility at once, don't stay at fight, just leave. That's one of the biggest mistakes Frost players make. You don't have to win every fight. Sometimes the smartest play is simply walking away and looking for a better opportunity. The mindset is very similar to Warbow, but a little more forgiving. You're still a kiting weapon. Just keep moving, keep repositioning, and never let your opponents fight on their own terms. The lower cooldowns give you a little bit more room for mistakes, so you can play with a little bit of more confidence. Personally, I absolutely love weapons like Frost Staff and Warbow. They reward positioning, movement, and decision making instead of just running at people and smashing buttons like death givers. I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not. I hate deaf viewers. Anyway, that's my list. I hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully you found a new build to try in the Mist. If you have another cheap weapon that deserves a spot on this list, let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your suggestion. Thank you for watching and I see you in the next one. Let's go.